Well, folks, Donald Trump's nightmare has arrived. Today is a very significant day in the story surrounding Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, his former best friend, his former party buddy, Ghislaine Maxwell, the Epstein files, and of course, Donald Trump's cover up of this story. Today, December 19th, Donald Trump is legally required to release the Epstein files by 11:59 p.m. tonight. That's required by law because of the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which gave Donald Trump a 30-day period to release all of the files. But of course, he let it go down to the wire. And I'm going to just pause right here and be honest. I don't think Donald Trump is going to release the files. And if he does release some files, it'll be a small batch. It probably won't be anything significant. And it certainly will not implicate him. But we shall see. In this video, I want to talk about where things stand, give you updates on the release of the files and what Republican members and Democratic members of Congress will do if Donald Trump doesn't release them all. So let's get into all of it right now. Before we do that, make sure to subscribe down below, drop a like on the video, comment. Let me know what you think about this story. Let me know if you think the files are coming out. And without further ado, let's just start right here. Let's start with the basics. What specifically is the
Sorry, I haven't been posting that much. I've been doing the bit, so sorry I haven't been posting that much. So today we will at this bit of his season. One of the he exposed matter. Yeah, he exposed Trump's lies and other stuff. So yes, listen to this and yeah. So it will talk my bear and my aisle. So that way we can listen to it.
Department of Justice being compelled to release. I think that's a good starting point. The DOJ, and this is according to experts on the topic who had a conversation about this. I thought this article from Vox was good. The Department of Justice and the FBI investigated Epstein during two different periods. One was in the mid-2000s, an investigation that was run in Florida about sex trafficking there. And about a decade later, around 2019, there was a New York-based investigation, kind of the most significant one, or at least the one that's most known by the public. There was a New York investigation that eventually resulted in Epstein's arrest and imprisonment, where he died before trial. As part of those investigations, investigators obtained a lot of evidence that the government presumably still has, and they do. Typically, this investigative material is not released, but because of the nature of the Epstein case, there was this pressure. They needed to disclose more. Republican House leaders tried to stop this from happening, as we all witnessed, but once it was clear the bill had a majority, there was a stampede, and now everyone claims they supported it, including Donald Trump. Yes, Donald Trump, the guy who engaged in the most brazen cover-up of the Epstein files, one of the most brazen cover-ups in American history, perhaps, is now on board, allegedly, saying he supported it, but of course he didn't really, and I still don't buy that he's going to release the files. The bill calls for, within 30 days, the Attorney General to release and make publicly available all unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials that relate to Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell or individuals named in connection with Epstein criminal activity. So I think that's a good place to start. And now I want to go on to what is going to happen if Donald Trump doesn't release the files. What are our members of government going to do? Will they stand up for this? Will they fight for this? Will they fight for transparency? And I'm happy to announce that Ro Khanna, one of the main guys who got this started, he's one of the two, Thomas Massie and him, introduced the discharge petition to force a vote on releasing the Epstein files. He actually addressed this in a video posted last night regarding today, the release of the Epstein files, presumably. So I want you to hear from him, and I think this is an important video to hear regarding this entire saga. Take a look.
Tomorrow, by 11:59 p.m. on Friday, the Epstein files will finally be released because of my Epstein Transparency Act. We will see thousands of documents that we should have seen decades ago. 3 federal judges have ordered the release. As I'm speaking, dozens of lawyers on the national security team at the Department of Justice are preparing the documents for release. Let me be very clear. We need a full release. Anyone who tampers with these documents or conceals documents or engages in excessive redaction will be prosecuted because of obstruction of justice. We will prosecute individuals regardless of whether they're the Attorney General or a career or political appointee. We need full transparency and justice for the survivors. Tomorrow, finally, rich and powerful men who raped underage girls or who covered up for this abuse will be held accountable. The Epstein class needs to go.
A really good video from Ro Khanna kind of breaking down, especially what he's going to do, what he's going to try to do if Donald Trump withholds the files. And he certainly sounds optimistic about it. And, I trust someone like Ro Khanna to really get it done, or at least the people behind this effort to hold Donald Trump accountable and hold these members of government accountable. I'm just always going to be skeptical of Donald Trump. I'm going to be skeptical of members of his administration, even if it's required by law. Clearly, Donald Trump knows that there are things in these files that he doesn't want coming out. That's why we had this months-long cover-up, this year-long cover-up from Donald Trump. And so do I think he's going to implicate himself? Do I think he's going to release files where he's named? I don't know. I'm just skeptical. I'm skeptical. But I think it's important to hear from the people in government who are behind this. And on that point, Thomas Massie, who was the Republican member of Congress who helped Ro Khanna get this done, also published a video. It was 14 minutes. We're not going to listen to the entire things. But this journalist, Matt Fuller, pointed out an important point of what Thomas Massie said. And I think you should hear it. He said he knows of at least 20 men, 20, who are accused of crimes in connection to Jeffrey Epstein and are in the files from people who have covered this case for years and the victims' lawyers. And if he doesn't see those names, he will know that we didn't get all of the Epstein files, which I think is also helpful as well for holding them accountable. And to pause right here, it's not just these members of Congress who have to hold Donald Trump accountable, it's us as well. So as soon as we get these files, I'm going to read as much as I possibly can. It's probably going to be hundreds of thousands of pages of documents, so we won't get through it all, but I'll read all the articles and I will come to you guys with my consensus and we'll have a conversation about it. It's going to be on me, you, everybody, members of Congress as well, to hold this administration accountable, because I don't think we get everything tomorrow. But something that we might see in the documents, again, I'm skeptical of this, but I want to put it out there, is embarrassing connections with Donald Trump. That's assuming that the files are released in their entirety. We got this stunning New York Times article yesterday about Donald Trump's deep relationship with Epstein, and this is on the eve of the Epstein files being released. And there's some really bombshell details in here, including Tina Davis, who worked with Ford models in the mid-1990s. She said in an interview that her booker instructed her to get dressed up and attend a Mar-a-Lago party in late 1994. She was 14 years old. 14, and new to Miami. She was told to dress sexy, according to her mother, who had accompanied her to Florida. 8 or 9 other models came along on the bus. All girls were really young, Ms. Coleman recalled in an interview. Some of them could have been in training bras. When they arrived at Mar-a-Lago, Ms. Coleman said her daughter was handed a glass of champagne. She took it away, but waiters kept offering more. Each time one of the middle-aged men at the party approached her daughter, Ms. Coleman would walk over and introduce herself as Miss Davis's mother. That's the culture that Donald Trump was harboring at these parties. During a trip to the bathroom, they ran into Mr. Trump's new wife, Marla Maples, who they had met earlier. Miss Maples clasped her hands, Miss Coleman recalled, and looked her in the eye. Whatever you do, do not let her around any of these men, and especially my husband. Damning. That's the culture that Donald Trump was harboring. Those are the things that Donald Trump's own wife was warning 14-year-old girls of. 14. So we might get some embarrassing details about Donald Trump, assuming that all the files are released. But look, I want to pause here and just briefly talk about the past couple of months, and I'll keep it quick. We've seen a disgusting cover-up from Donald Trump to protect really bad people, whether it be Epstein himself, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is, of course, still alive in prison and maybe willing to talk. He has covered up everything. He's covered up his connection. He's tried to prevent the files from coming out. He called up members of Congress, telling them to remove their name from the discharge petition. His fight with Marjorie Taylor Greene stemmed from this, the fact that she put her name on the discharge petition and wanted the files to be released. And there are, of course, a number of different ways that Donald Trump has tried to cover up the files. It's not just bullying members of Congress into doing his will. It's the misinformation campaign. It's him calling it a Democratic hoax for months, trying to delegitimize the experience of these victims and what they went through and what they still go through on a daily basis. Their stories tried to delegitimize it and prevent the political capital being there for the files to be released. He was calling it a Democratic hoax so Republicans would get on board. And this has not just been a cover up in the past couple of months. This is something that Donald Trump has done for many, many years, stretching back to his first presidential campaign where he distanced himself from Epstein, saying they didn't know each other, but of course they knew each other. They partied together. We have all these photos and videos coming out, and Donald Trump doesn't like it. And there's so many different aspects of the cover up, but it's been real, and the day is here. Donald Trump must release the files, and if he doesn't, hopefully somebody will be held accountable. So look, I will leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching. We will see what happens today. I'll be back with more, and I'll give you an update on all of it. So make sure to subscribe down below, drop a like on the video, comment, let me know what you think about this story. And as I always say, I greatly appreciate you. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and we will check in soon.